to monitor the elections. Chris, how's it been?
It's like you said, a very busy day. But you know, you've been in Owerri longer than myself, and it appears the night is calmer today. Could that have been as a result of the election? Well, because I don't know where everybody went to, you know.
No. Seriously, Owerri is a peaceful city, and but because of the curfew from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., you know, people are not come out like that because it's late already, and people are not just in the mood because of the electioneering processes. So it's not the usual Owerri we used to know,
Exactly, because I actually expected, you know, a lot of bubbling activities, you know, some people going to club, dancing, but all the same, I'm sure there will be a lot of time for dancing when the results eventually are renounced.
So tell us about your experiences. About you went to Okigwe, and you also covered some part of Owerri zone. So what are your experiences?
Okay, you know, actually when we first started at Azuze, you know, when we got there, we actually met some voters on the ground. You know, they were waiting for the INEC staff to come up, and it took a whole lot of time. As the time I left that polling unit, they had not arrived. I'm sure they arrived maybe way past the time that they were supposed to do that.
You left and left me there. It was they arrived at about 5 minutes past 10 a.m. When the electoral materials arrived. So at about 10:30, they started the voting process, accreditation and voting process. Even though before then, people are already been raising concerns about the late arrival of
the voting materials. Because I think it was quite peculiar with most of the voting centers, you know, within town, within the municipality, you know. Arrival of voting materials. I mean, it was quite late, but for a lot of people, they felt it was better than the presidential election. That INEC probably learned one or two lessons from the presidential election. That it was better organized, well coordinated, but the only issue was that not too many voters came out. And if you look at one of the polling units we visited, they had about 800 registered voters, but the truth is only 150 came out.
Yeah, talking about the Azuzi Ward 4 we visited earlier in the day, you know, compared to the presidential and National Assembly elections where we had huge turnout of voters there, today was very low. Even some people we spoke to on camera told us that the voter turnout today was very, very low. So what about other parts of the state you visited?
Okay, we went to, you know, we've been talking about the state of the Big Five. So we went around all their locality, you know, in Umbaino, we saw Ekuteyi, you know. It was quite peaceful around there. He came out to vote past 10 o'clock, you know. It was a peaceful process, you know, but he only wished that we went past the stage. You know, we've been on this level for too long. He expects that we should move from this level, embrace technology and make the most of it. But they actually patted INEC, you know, on the back for a peaceful process. Then of course we still in that Mbaino area, Isiobu also. Yeah, okay, fine. We saw another Big Five, the ABGA governorship candidate, Ifeanyi Ararume. He also was very impressed with what INEC did. He appreciated INEC for what they did, but he also canvassed for a better process in the future.
Talking about the Big Five, I also visited East Local Government area where the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Okudima, voted. Like you said, the same thing, he commended INEC and security operatives for the good conduct of the election. Well, no doubt there are pockets of some unconfirmed reports and some confirmed reports, like the incident that happened in Nkwere, Umudim to be precise, in Nkwere local government area, where a young man was shot dead.
A lot of things happened, and the good thing is we also had some observer monitoring group all around, you know, and of course one of them is here with us. She would be coming up very shortly, and I would slide out. She would come in. Talking about Nnenaya, Enyinaya. She went around town, and of course she has so much information. It's so good having you with us today.
Yeah, good evening.
I would slide out. Why are you coming right now?
That's okay.
All right.
Hello,
thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So you were around town today to monitor the elections.
Yes, exactly.
So what are your observations? You are an election observer in Imo State. So what are your observations?
Yes, very interestingly today, the long-awaited election happened. The Juba elections happened today, and I think that was a great thing. But several things happened alongside, you know. First, I want to commend INEC with their level of preparedness. The materials required for elections were deployed earlier. In fact, I think as at yesterday, and then people started going to their places of the polling units. So some of them outside the municipality started early. Some commenced at 8 o'clock, some 8:15 and all of that. But within the municipal, it didn't start earlier than 10. In fact, as at 10, some polling units were still under lock and key. Some schools where elections were to hold, and that was not good. And also, relative peace prevailed against what we had thought before now, you know, without
being a flashpoint
yes,
in this
exactly.
election.
It was a flashpoint, very serious flashpoint. So we had peace like we were not expecting. In fact, I'm sure some people told me personally, I'm not going to vote because I'm sure there's going to be violence and I don't want to get hurt. But most places didn't have that, except maybe one or two places like in Eziobodo, where out of their 8 polling units, 6 of the units had the ballot boxes carted away by unknown persons.
Were you there?
By the time we had arrived, that was when they showed us there's a bus that just went, you know, packed all the ballot boxes and put on the bus and left. And then some of the places we had to go to see, electoral materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive, scattered everywhere, tables broken, papers torn, ballot papers torn all over the whole place, registers and all of that. So it wasn't a very good sight.
What's your impression about the turnout of voters today?
That was abysmally low. I want to use that word abysmal because it quite describes what it was today. Like the last election 2 weeks ago for the presidency was, people came out en masse. And today, less than half of that number came out. And in our interaction with a few voters, their opinion was that they no longer trusted the process of elections. And you don't go cast your vote and at the end of the day, some other result is released. Even when you stood there to watch your votes being counted and certain numbers that are different from what they collated from the centers begin to come out. So it's a process that seems like it has lost the integrity.
Okay, talking about the security situation in Imo State, how will you assess the security in this election?
If you come from the personnel angle, I think that the security deployed their personnel well. Maybe not adequately, but better than what it has always been. So you go to a polling unit and you find up to 3 security persons, and they mix. You had even the immigration, civil defense with the police. All of them were working together. And very interestingly for me, several female police or security persons were there. It gave this ambience to the electoral environment. So most women were relaxed. Unlike when you have most men serious, scary if you like. So some women would be like, I'm not going there, or some would be jittery. But it was a very relaxed atmosphere for people who came to vote today.
So in few words, with this election, what message or which area will you want INEC to improve on?
I think that the first thing is to restore the integrity, because without integrity, elections are useless. If people can vote and their votes count, then you can expect them to come out all the time and vote. It's a process to choose our leaders. When we say this is who it is, let that person be the one. If INEC can improve the integrity, the process, then we can trust more in it, and I assure you, most people will continue to come out to vote.
Yeah, thank you, and I hope you will be available if we call on you next time too.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Coalition is still ongoing in various local government coalition centers across the state, but we will be here to keep you up to speed with the events, the happenings, the results, and everything about the electioneering process for the Imo governorship election 2019.